It's just Sunstrider here. Welcome back to another year-end reflection video. 2026 is upon us, so obviously I continue the tradition of just yammering about the year and all that stuff. Hopefully this time won't get deleted a month later because besides the fact that I do have a couple of elephants in the room I got to address, this year wasn't so bad. Oh, hello, Sheriff's Department. How you doing? Let's not run into them and get into a pursuit with my main LSPD character. Anyway, obviously, those of you who may remember my last thoughts on a video where I mentioned the possibility of rejoining FiveM in some capacity may notice that that never happened. And if I'm going to be honest with you, it most likely never will, because I finally figured that FiveM was an addiction, right? It may not be as crazy as, a drug or alcohol or even gambling addiction, but it was still very real and very detrimental to pretty much everything about my life. And it wasn't until me and Kai broke up, because newsflash, the two of us aren't together either anymore, because basing an entire long distance relationship off of a single online gaming community probably isn't the best idea in hindsight. I completely just cut basically all content, all contact with FiveM and a lot of the people I used to talk to in FiveM as well, which may seem a little harsh, but to be honest, I stopped talking to a lot of those people following my DOJ termination anyway, and those bridges were essentially already burning well before my termination ever happened. And if I'm not welcome in the community anymore, I'm probably not going to be welcome in any of their Discord servers either, so what's the point in sticking around? And besides, looking back on it, a lot of those people made the addiction a lot worse, because whenever I tried to take a break from FiveM, they would, oh dear lord, they would drag me back in, because they just tempt me back in, and the whole process would start over again, and it wasn't healthy at all. So yeah, it's just not feasible anymore, and there's better things I could be doing with my life than trying to force it to work. Because I could very well find a completely brand new FiveM community, completely unrelated to DOJ at all, and there's a chance that it could work out, but there's also a chance that the same drama shit would happen, like same shit, different community type of deal. And I really don't want to go through that. And besides, I also don't want to have to go through any more training, probationary phases, anything like that, and application cycles and shit. And still, there's just way better shit for me to be doing than trying to force FiveM to work. So, for those of you who enjoyed FiveM for one reason or another, I do apologize, but it's just simply didn't work out. Which is sad, but it's just the way it happened. Now, there is one thing that I guess. Oh, this is a stop sign, not a red light. There is one thing, I guess, that I will miss from FiveM, which also plays into a little bit of the second elephant in the room I need to address, that will come later, is that the FiveM and DOJ specifically gave me kind of a full sense of community. Because if you guys remember, FiveM is how I got accepted into the Twitch affiliate program. Now, thankfully, you can't lose your affiliate status once you get it. But to be honest, in my case, it kind of feels like I did, because I haven't gotten a paycheck from Twitch since my DOJ termination, which sucks. And honestly, that hurt because it just meant that people were following my channel for the FiveM content and not for me as a creator, which stung a lot more than I'd probably like to admit. And it definitely contributed to the burnout I faced in the later half of 2025. It wasn't the main reason for it, but it definitely didn't help the situation at all. And I essentially had to relearn how to stream to nobody again. Because, yes, I do have people in my community, obviously, but especially when I play certain games, so you get me started on the anime stuff, not everybody in my community likes that stuff because my community is so small. It's just a fact of being a small streamer trying to do variety content. Not everybody's going to want to watch everything, and not everybody's going to be able to watch everything. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that the first month of being a DOJ media member got me so used to, quote unquote, always having some people around watching my content and hanging out, that I forgot what it was like to stream to nobody. And it was a very harsh and very humbling lesson, you could say, to try to refocus my content back into trying to have fun and not trying to be perfect all the time. Because that's another thing, is that I got used to everything having to be perfect, because being a DOJ media member, you really had to be careful of what you showed and all that stuff. And you're not allowed to break character ever, and you can't share details a lot with chat. You have to be careful with what details you share, this, that, and the other thing. So if things go wrong and something slipped or whatever, it's not a matter of if you'll be dragged into a staff room, it's you will be dragged into a staff room and berated for 30 minutes, which felt like it was happening to me a lot. Now, some people will say that I did it to myself, which, yeah, you're probably right, because, I broke rules and shit, right? I was causing problems. But I remember one member saying something to me. I'm not going to name them, obviously, because I don't want to get them into shit years later. But they told me that communities like FiveM are opening and inviting at the start, but the more involved you get with them, the more issues you see with the inner workings, drama, favoritism, tight knit groups that don't really like outsiders, I guess you could say, new people coming in. And you either shut your mouth and move on, like everybody else in the community does, or you keep causing issues for them until they eventually get rid of you, which the latter definitely happened to me. And it just goes to show you that, I guess not a good fit after all. I would understand if this was like an IRL department, IRL agency doing stuff trying to remain professional, but no, this is a fucking game, right? And I do believe that people in FiveM do tend to take themselves a little bit too seriously sometimes. As I can imagine if you're watching a D&D group on Twitch and they're not ever allowed to break character or interact with chat or anything like that. That's essentially what DOJ was, right? But yeah, it sucks, but a lot of my characters in FiveM got recreated in LSPDFR, and a lot of FiveM characters in general got added to the, what do you call it, the XCOM 2 roster, just as filler characters to fill the void, especially since I am doing a lot more of the Chosen now, and you tend to have a lot more soldiers than base getting more of the Chosen, and just limiting the amount of randomly generated soldiers is nice. So a lot of the banners, a lot of my characters, all that stuff got recreated in XCOM 2, and I haven't deleted them and all that stuff. But yeah, that all sucks and stuff, because it does relate to the next topic, the next elephant in the room I need to address, which is, of course, my VTuber model. and the fact that my community is not that big, and I tried to make my VTuber debut this super secretive thing, big reveal and stuff, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I know I wasn't expecting VTubing to be the silver bullet of content creation, because nowadays VTubing isn't new, and VTubers are essentially just a dime a dozen now, like any other streamer on Twitch. And not only that, is VTubing is a very female dominated industry right now, at the very least. Like, yeah, sure, you have some female or male VTubers, or male VTubers with female representing avatars that are doing well, but I'm just not that one of them. I'm just not one of them, because I go against a lot of these stereotypes, or quote unquote industry standards in VTubing nowadays. You know. But so yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be the silver bullet of content creation, but I also wasn't expecting the sheer nothingness that happened, which I'll be honest, I jumped the gun a little bit. I over exaggerated and blew it out of proportion and stuff. And although I wanted to make it a big secretive reveal type of deal, given the size of my community, I should have been a lot more transparent and open about it, just to give people a chance to understand and adjust, right? Because coming out of the blue like that, with so few people in my community who watch my content, it would probably be a bit of a surprise. And instead of getting the reaction I wanted to, a lot of people thought that the VTuber model was distracting instead of an addition, which also hurt a little bit, not gonna lie. But it's also my fault for overhyping it, right? As much as I overthink things, when bad stuff happens, if I get excited about something, I overhype it to Kingdom Come. So I'll admit that was my mistake, and I apologize for that. And going forward, I will not try to make as big of a deal about it. I do have one more commission I'm waiting on for the VTuber stuff, because I got the model, I got the emotes, and the only thing I'm waiting for now is transition screens. So be right back, starting soon, and ending screens to give a little bit more personal flair to the channel and stuff. But after that, I don't think I'll be able to afford to pump as much money into it anymore anyway, because I have a lot more responsibilities and financial stuff that I have to deal with going into the new year. So yeah, I will not make such a big deal about it going forward, but I'm still going to keep using it. I'm not going to stop using it, because if I stop using it now, then that'd be a massive waste, right? It'd be a waste not to use it going forward now, but I also acknowledge the fact that I should have been more open about it, and I won't be making such a big deal or fixating on it so much anymore. Because I have been a bit open to, I guess, compromising with the VTuber model, specifically for Red Dead Redemption, since it's like a old-timey story, cutscene heavy game, and having a fucking VTuber model of a modern military dude with a gun, like modern military rifle, probably doesn't fit in so much. I'd be lying if I said that not using my VTuber model didn't affect my desire to play it more, because it kind of does a little bit, because the whole point of becoming a VTuber is to show off the model, and if I turn it off, even if it is just for one game, kind of feels like a waste, right? Like, it feels like a waste not to use it. But considering the community and the people I have now, and not being a very popular streamer and stuff, feels like I do need to relax a little bit. and not go so crazy as I was. But regardless of that, that's pretty much it. It seems like things have kind of equalized now anyway. Like, now that the honeymoon phase of my VTuber debut is over, I've kind of not been fixated on it as much to begin with, even before making this video and stuff. So it doesn't seem like it's the end of the world anyway right now, which it's not, obviously. You know, it's just a fucking PNG that moves around with face tracking. It's not the end of the world at all. But yeah, I definitely misplayed the debut and all that stuff. But regardless, that's pretty much it for the elephants in the room. You know, FiveM not coming back, VTuber model, yeah, it's there. It's a thing. But going forward in the new year, I mentioned a bit of burnout that I've been experiencing in the later half of 2025. And a lot of it has to do with all of those internet connection issues I was having in, what was it, like October, November? I think it started end of October and lasted like all of November and only got better like first, second week of December. It was not great, because I do remember when I first started streaming, I would get these periods of, maybe a couple of days, upwards to maybe a week of bad connection, bad stream connection. But it would always be done it would never last longer than a week. So having it last over a month is a bit crazy and definitely burnt me out a hell of a lot more than the FiveM shit would ever do. That was the main source of the burnout this year. That was like fucking. I was like so close to calling a live stream hiatus. It was getting so bad. But thankfully, I don't want to jinx myself here, but thankfully, it seems to have equalized over December. So I don't have to go on a live stream hiatus. And speaking of Red Dead Redemption 2, I haven't played Red Dead or Mass Effect really at all since those issues began, considering the fact that I don't want to be playing or streaming a story heavy game like that, only to have my internet crash, my stream connection crash halfway through when I'm in the middle of an important story mission or a cutscene or something, to then have to end the stream. There was like a 33% chance I'd have to cancel my stream entirely every time I try to during that outage period. But now that things seem to have equalized again, knock on wood, I do plan on getting back into Mass Effect and Red Dead more in the new year. I decided to just wait for the new year because fuck it, might as well. I already spent over a month of not playing those games. What's an extra couple days to wait till the new year, right? But what the fuck is down here? So yeah, but now that it's the new year and things are looking better, I am going to start playing those games a bit more. Because I do miss playing them and stuff, especially Mass Effect. I've been really enjoying Mass Effect. I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2 is cool as well, but I mean, I've also seen gameplay footage of Red Dead a lot already, and I haven't actually seen any gameplay of Mass Effect, so it's a blind experience for Mass Effect for me instead of Red Dead, which I know already a lot about. And I'm still gonna keep playing both of them, obviously. I'm not gonna stop playing Red Dead or something just because of that. And obviously, I'll still keep playing LSPD4 and Helldivers and any other multiplayer stuff different wraiths want to do. I mentioned this, I think, in my last LSPDFR live stream, but there is a new emergency service simulator game called Responders coming out, which will allow you to play as EMS, fire, or police. And according to its Steam page, it's coming into early access this year in 2026 at some point. But it does support online co-op, so I might drag those two into it, because it'd be kind of funny having all three of us trying to do fucking emergency service simulator stuff. It's interesting. I'm not going to overhype it or anything, because I know how police simulators can be precinct or well, no, not the precinct. Police Simulator. The precinct is actually a good one. My apologies. Don't take that the wrong way. But the precinct is one of the better police simulation mods besides LSPDFR. That I've actually enjoyed that one. The only thing I don't like about the precinct is the camera angle. Well, that's a personal preference thing. That's not anything wrong with the game itself. But police simulator patrol officers, I keep on saying it, and I've said it before, and I'll keep on saying it. Police simulator patrol officers should just rebrand to a London-based police simulator, because they give you a gun, but you don't ever use it. Like, you don't have a reason for having it. They might as well do a UK unarmed police simulator, and I honestly wouldn't be able to tell the difference, because you don't ever use the gun. It's all just fucking traffic stops, pedestrian stops, paperwork simulator, report simulator, motor vehicle accident simulator. It gets boring after like 30 minutes to an hour, if that. It's interesting, and it is co-op. You can play with somebody else. I know Wraith has been playing it a bit, at least in the later half of 2025, but it just gets boring after a while. I'm sorry. I know what they're trying to do with it, and I understand why they don't have any shootouts or anything like that, but still, with things like LSPDFR and the Precinct having more action in it, they need to step it up a little bit or rebrand, like I said before. And then I never tried flashing lights. Apparently a lot of people have mixed feelings about flashing lights. I haven't tried that one yet, and I probably never will. But responders, because it's co-op, I might try it when it comes to early access. But yeah, that's basically going forward with the channel and stuff. And finally, in terms of me outside of streaming, because as always, streaming is just a hobby for me right now, and I don't plan on quitting my day job anytime soon, because I wouldn't be able to afford to live if I tried to go full-time now. I literally started this video off by saying, my channel pretty much went back to square one after the DOJ termination. I'm not about to announce me going full time here. It would take a lot of luck for me to be able to go full time at this stage. You never know what'll happen, but still, I'm not holding out hope for that. I'm actually hoping to hopefully get a better day job sometime this year, because I mentioned that I have a lot more financial responsibilities right now, because I have a car, my first car. I got it registered right before or right after Christmas, right before New Year's. It's a 2001 Toyota RAV4, not the flashiest model in the world, but it doesn't have to be, especially not for my first car. It's a Facebook Marketplace find, which I think I got incredibly lucky with, because the previous owner was a mechanic, so it's in great condition. Great condition, one's great. The only thing I'm going to have to worry about going forward is in a couple months, when the weather starts getting better, is I'm going to have to get a set of summer/all season tires, so I'm not running winter tires all year, because I don't want to run winter tires all year. That is a big no-no. So yeah, I am very happy with that. Obviously, it's a lot more expenses and stuff. I have monthly insurance payments and then gas money and all that stuff, but it's definitely worth it. Not only will it help me get a better full-time job in the future, it's just nice not being stuck worrying about transit schedules. Right, I can drive around on my schedule and not having to worry about, getting the bus on time or something, which is great. That's the biggest thing I'm enjoying so far. And I am also making steps towards getting my security guard license to potentially finally escape retail work. because it's not so much the work itself. The work itself is pretty mundane and easy. It's the people, man. I have noticed the past year my tolerance for entitled behavior has shrunk drastically. Cause if I see somebody doing something wrong when I'm at work, like parking in a no park zone or not returning their shopping cart to the corral properly, I will speak up about it and I will call them out on their lazy shit. Which gets me into more trouble than I'd like to admit, because obviously if I call out a customer for being lazy, not returning their cart, parking in a no park zone, doing whatever, then they get mad at me because I called them out. They give me excuses. I double down, tell them that it doesn't matter how long you're here for, you can't park in the goddamn fire lane, fucking move. And I have to watch what I say, because if I get aggressive with them, they just complain to customer service about me, and then I'm the one that gets in trouble, and it's fucking high school bullying all fucking over again. It's very annoying, and I'm getting really sick and tired of it. So hopefully, my goal for this year is that 2025 will be the last full year I have to spend working retail, because I am going to get myself fired if I'm not fucking careful. Oh man, that's why I'm going for my security guard license. That, and it'll also be job-related experience for when I eventually get ready to apply to the Calgary Police Service at some point. Hopefully, maybe we'll see. Because I do have a couple of years to wait, because I do have my driver's license now. I can drive on my own, but Alberta, this province, I almost said the state of Alberta. Yeah, Sif wishes. The province of Alberta has a GDL driver program where you used to, like, once you got your license, you were on a graduated driver license, and then after like a year or two of having that, you have to take a secondary road test to get your full license, but they don't have that anymore because they changed it a couple of years ago to now you only need the one driving test to get your GDL, and then you have to wait like a year or two to get your full license. That just auto upgrades and stuff, but obviously emergency services require you to have a full license, so I need to wait for my license to auto upgrade, which means I have time to not only get my fat ass into shape, but to get some possibly better job-related experience for security to make myself a bit more of a competitive candidate for when I am ready to apply to the Calgary Police Service. Plus, having my own vehicle will let me get a security job, and will also let me attend Calgary Police recruiting events in the future to help me get better prepared for that as well. And who knows, maybe if I do start a security job, I can maybe save up enough money to finally move out of my parents' place and get my own like apartment or something like that. That's also something that's been on the back of my mind as well, because I know rent is super expensive in Calgary, and honestly everywhere in the world at this point is super expensive with inflation rates going the way they are. But it has been a thought in the back of my mind as well to maybe move out of my parents' house finally. You know, not like there's anything wrong with still living with your parents, especially in 2025. At least I don't think there should be any problem living with your parents. It's just that being able to have my own fully independent schedule does sound kind of nice. No offense to my parents or anything. They've been very nice, and I'm very lucky to have them for parents, because they're not even making me pay rent or anything like that, which is, I'm very lucky to say that. So it's just, again, having my own independent schedule does sound kind of nice, especially since I'm almost in my 30s at this point. So yeah, it'd be nice. Like, the vehicle alone gives me a lot of independence already, but again, having my own place just sounds kind of nice at this point, but I can't afford it right now until I get a full-time, better paying job and stuff. And that's the goal for this year, is to get that security position. Hopefully, maybe, we'll see. But I already got the training done and the testing done. I got all the mandatory security guard training and shit done already. I'm just waiting to hear back from the Calgary Police Service about a full criminal vulnerable sector person's background check. which is definitely going to take a bit, about a month. It could take up to a month to hear back from them, especially since they have a pretty big backlog of those background checks, as one could imagine with the holidays and New Year's and stuff. I submitted my application right before Christmas, so I'm obviously not going to hear back from them right away. So I do have to wait for that, and then once I hear back from them and get that background check done and in my hands, in my email, whatever the fuck, I did not look before turning, that's my fault. Then getting the rest of the steps done is going to be pretty easier, but that is my plans for going into the new year, and that's pretty much what all I have to talk about today. So before I start becoming a broken record talking about everything all over again, which I tend to do during these yapathon videos, I'm just going to go ahead and end the video here. So thank you all for watching and sticking around. Those of you who did stick around ever since the DOJ FiveM termination, thank y'all for sticking around with me, and here's to another year. So thank y'all for watching, and I will see y'all next time.